Thanks for staying up later. Penelope Ann Miller is with us. First of all, congratulations, at least for step one. You've been nominated for a Golden Globe, and the Golden Globes are actually handed out a few days after this show airs, so perhaps congratulations a second time will be due in a week or so. What does it mean to you to be nominated for your role in Carlito's Way for a Golden Globe, and maybe for an Oscar, although those nominations don't come out for a bit yet?
Till February, yeah. Well, I mean, they say the Golden Globes nowadays have become sort of the precedent or the barometer for the possibility of who's going to be nominated for an Oscar. However, I also feel that getting this Golden Globe nomination already is to me such a compliment to me, and it's such an honor to be acknowledged for your work. I mean, it's people saying, "Hey, we've noticed, and we're honoring you," and it's just incredibly flattering. And you always dream as an actor, I think, of being acknowledged that way and being respected. And I think it gives you a certain legitimacy as an actress, and people take you a little more seriously. And I think people are seeing me more now because of my work in Carlito's Way as a serious actress. Most of my films have been lighter comedies for the most part, except for Awakenings, which was a fairly smaller role, and Other People's Money, which was sort of a little both. But in Carlito's Way, I really got to pull out, you know, all the emotions and go through everything. And it was a very intense, heavy film, and so I'm thrilled. I'm so excited. I was really surprised, actually.
Why were you surprised? You think you sold yourself short?
No, it's all the producers and Universal and people were saying when they were seeing dailies that they thought that they wanted to campaign for me for an Oscar, and they really felt that my work in it deserved that notice. But I really didn't want, you don't want to think about those things because you don't want to get your hopes up and get disappointed.
For those who haven't seen it, Pacino plays Carlito. He gets out of prison. He's trying to go straight.
Right.
Sean Penn is his crackhead lawyer who's sucking him back in to a place he shouldn't be. And
Right.
you, despite your own circumstances as a stripper, are
Right.
trying to get him back on the straight and narrow, or keep him there.
Yeah, I mean, I think my character, Gail, in Carlito's Way, represents sort of the ray of hope in the movie. I mean, I feel that my character is sort of the conscience of the movie, and his conscience in a way, because she really sees that he's really going back to his old ways, and that the Kleinfeld character, who's played by Sean Penn, is really corrupt, and he's really changed and really gone downhill, and she really sees that he's not a friend to be trusted, and he feels some sort of loyalty because, of course, he helped him get out of prison, but he feels a certain, he comes from this old school of loyalty, and you stick by your friends, and you owe, if they do something for me, you owe them, and she's really trying to help him have a better life.
I gotta do this, just this one thing, and then I'm out. I owe Dave.
You don't know him! You think you do, Charlie? That's the problem with you. That's why nobody like you gets out, no matter what they say.
You're not listening to me, Gail.
Because everything you learned in the neighborhood, every instinct you've got won't do anything but get you killed.
What are you talking about? How do you know what I learned in my neighborhood? You're just stupid what you say.
I know how this dream ends, Charlie. It isn't in paradise. It ends with me carrying you into that emergency room at 3 o'clock in the morning. And standing there, crying like an idiot. While your shirt's filled with blood and you die.
Gail, no. You're not listening to me!
And that's what she's hoping for, your character, Gail. She's a stripper, but in her mind only as a means to something else.
Right. I mean, she really considers herself a dancer. I mean, she's a professional, classically trained dancer. I mean, you see her in the beginning of the movie as...
Not in the way, then, that strippers consider themselves exotic dancers.
Right, right. She really... she considers herself...
Because if you will check those little captions on Montel Williams or Sally Jesse,
Yeah.
all strippers are exotic dancers. That is the politically correct way to refer to a stripper, is as an exotic dancer.
Well, I guess Gail is an exotic dancer, and however, she is classically trained.
And maybe this plays nicely into a statement you wanted to make about your own career and your own capabilities, maybe because of appearance or whatever, that the phrase fresh scrubbed seems to have followed you around.
Gosh.
So,
yes,
so
that
somebody,
Iowa girl.
right, you know, if somebody's looking to put the kibosh on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always getting this wholesome image, this fresh scrubbed, you know, Midwestern, and I come from Los Angeles, but most people don't know that. I think they think, every time I ask someone, they think I'm from the Midwest or the South or somewhere like that, or even England. But it's that fresh scrub thing, that complexion thing. But I get the Ivory Girl. And on the one hand, it's a compliment. I mean, it's nice. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to be perceived as the dirty girl. I mean, it's sort of, you know, like she needs a bath. And,
Right. Hygiene is important, Penelope,
yes,
I believe.
I think it helps, especially in my business. But I think that it was just something that I felt was a slight stereotype, and I want as an actress to be able to do many different characters and many different parts and show a range of my acting. And I didn't want to always be typecast as the girl next door.
What can I do?
What are you going to do? Are you going to bust the chain? Chase me around the apartment? Get me naked? Take me on the floor?
I'm too old for that.
Oh, that's too bad. If you can't get in, you don't get in.
Ah!
I read in going through some of the research where you said you thought that the sexual tension between Ingrid Bergman and Cary Grant in Notorious
Right.
was actually a lot more exciting and a lot more interesting than, you know, something that is more overt.
Yeah, exploited. Well, I think that to me, what's sexy is I think less is more. I mean, I think it's showing less and suggesting more. To me, is sexier because there is more of a tension, and you're.
So how do you reconcile that feeling and, you know, your stated affection, if that's the right word, for the old-time movie stars, the Myrna Loys and the Claudette Colberts? How do you
Right.
reconcile that with the nudity in this film?
Well, it certainly was something that I had reservations about before I chose to do Carlito's Way. Because I've always believed and felt that nudity wasn't necessary. I mean, I've always felt that I never wanted to do anything that I was exploited or that was gratuitous, and I really think seeing two people, frankly, you know, getting it on, humping all over the place, it loses a certain sense of mystery and excitement, and it's all out there. However, in this movie, after I read the script, I really saw that she really is a character of strength and integrity, even though she's a stripper. I mean, maybe that is her one flaw, but I don't feel, and to some people that may not be a flaw, I just think that it was something that was done very subtly and tastefully, and it was certainly something that Brian felt very strongly about, Brian De Palma, and I was uncomfortable about it in the beginning, but I felt that I was really treated with respect as an actress. I didn't want to be the girlfriend or the arm piece or the decor. I didn't want to be there to get people off. I mean, that's not what, and when I read the script, that wasn't what my character was about, was to turn everybody on. I mean, there are some sexy scenes in the movie, don't get me wrong, but there was more to her character. I mean, she really is, I think, a well-rounded character, and she has a lot to say, and there's a lot going on with her, and you really see the real, true love she has for this man and her struggle with that relationship. And I felt there was so much for me to do as an actress. For instance, there's a scene in Francis that Jessica Lange does where she gets ripped out of her home and she's in the bathroom and she's naked. And that scene to me really struck me because you really saw the incredible violation that she was, how she was being treated. She was so violated, and it made it that much more, it made her that much more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes nudity can say something, and there can be a message within the film and the story that is important. And I feel that the way in which the scene where he breaks down the door, where I sort of tease him in the movie, and that scene is just showing the way they tease each other and their relationship, and that this is what she does, and it just shows a certain intimacy between them. And then the strip was something that I didn't feel necessarily you had to see anything, but Brian did, and luckily it was something that was very cut down. It was to a minimum, and I really felt that it wasn't gratuitous. So I sort of reconciled myself with it.
And we're back with Penelope Ann Miller. We mentioned that you're very fond of the old-time movie stars. So I guess that doing The Shadow with Alec Baldwin, since it's based on the old radio series,
Right.
The Shadow, that's got to be some sort of glamour throwback role. I mean, it's not out yet, I'm just guessing, but
No, it is.
It has to have the feel of that, right?
Yeah, it takes place in 1936, New York, and so it's New York at its most glamorous and elegant. And it's a fantasy adventure, so it's even bigger than life. I mean, it's that much more grand and elegant.
Uh-huh.
And it's been so much fun for me, especially coming out of Carlito's Way, which was such a heavy, intense movie. And it was wonderful for me as an actress and very fulfilling. But then to go into The Shadow, which is all about my look, it's all about my hair and my nails and my wardrobe, and I can't sit down because I'm wearing satin, so I have to, stand on a leaning board, like, Jean Harlow or Carole Lombard used to have to do. And so it's not very comfortable being in these movies, but it's really, really fun for me because it's really like a child's dream of playing dress up, where you get to wear, these incredibly beautiful gowns and jewels and makeup and hair, and I mean, it's what I used to do as a little girl. I mean, play dress up, and I always watched the old movies, and I loved the glamour, and this is just incredibly glamorous. So it's been really fun, and it's sort of a romp for me. It's really been great. It's a wonderful cast too.
You've been in a lot of fairly big to genuinely big films. Kindergarten Cop with Schwarzenegger, In The Freshman with Matthew Broderick, and of course Marlon Brando. We mentioned Carlito's Way, not to mention Pee-wee's Big Top, right?
Everyone says it's Pee-wee's Big Top. It's Big Top Pee-wee.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I get one more piece of faulty research, I am just out of here.
I don't know why people give...
Big Top Pee-wee. There you have it.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Same difference, right? But I don't know why. No one calls it...
All right, so that brings me to my next question.
Okay.
Compare and contrast. Pee-wee Herman, Marlon Brando. There you go. You want to make a big deal out of Pee-wee? There you go.
They're both really intense.
and very committed to their craft.
Very committed.
Yeah.
They're in character all the time. Actually, they're not. But no, Big Top Pee-wee, yes. That was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was so wacky. I mean, that's where you get to just really pull out all the stops and just... There was one other thing that I did where I got to really act badly, you know, overact. And that was called The Bride of Mumula. And it was this thing that Christopher Guest directed, and Michael McKean, you know, all the Spinal Tap guys, and
Right.
Rob Reiner was the producer, and it was a series that they were going to, I guess they aired it, but it didn't get picked up, and I got to be this opera singer, this ingenue, and I just got to overact the whole time, and I just had the best time. And Pee-wee's Big Top, or Big Top Pee-wee, was that kind of thing for me, where I got to really just, you know, be, you know, over the top.
Over the big top.
Over the
And not to mention, I left off the list Other People's Money, where you play the attorney.
Right.
Right?
And we mentioned Awakening.
Right, the Norman Jewison film, Other People's Money,
with
Danny
Danny
DeVito is in it. And the point that I'm getting to is,
Yes.
off the list of films that I just gave, which, if any of them, was most daunting for you? As a young performer, you're thrown into not only some big films, but almost all of them involve big stars. Like Other People's Money, it's not just DeVito. You got like an icon guy like Gregory Peck.
Yeah, it wasn't so much when you say daunting. I mean, I was never daunted by any kind of fear of working with an actor. I mean, in fact, I welcome it, because to me, it's like when you play with a great tennis player, it improves your game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's like it enhances everything you do when you play with someone great or act with someone great. And so it gives you so much more to work off of. I mean, working with Al Pacino, I mean, he's so there. I mean, and he's just so powerful that it's just, you know, I react, and it's so easy for me because he's not distracted and he's not self-conscious. He's just completely throws himself in there. And the same thing with, you know, Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro, and they're just so brilliant and so committed and so there for you. And Gregory Peck, and it's just wonderful, because I find that with great actors, they're usually the most, I've found, the most sort of humble and don't really have huge egos, because they don't really need to. I mean, they really care about the work. I mean, Al Pacino would probably rather rehearse a movie than actually see it out on film. I mean, he's really into the process of the work. He's really into the work. And that just makes it so much easier to work with someone like that, because you're not dealing with a star trip.
Teach you.
Oh, he's so funny. He's really such a character. He's got a great sense of humor. And we were all so nervous. First of all, the biggest fear one has in working with Marlon Brando is that, first of all, he just won't come. I mean, because he just he won't come.
And right there, that screws up a whole production schedule.
That's right. I mean, I remember I was up for another movie, or I'd been offered another movie, and I called Matthew Broderick, because I'd worked with him
Right.
already on, actually, the play of Biloxi Blues and the movie. And so I called him up and I said, well, my agents want me to take this other movie because they don't really believe that Marlon Brando's going to do The Freshman. And I kept saying, but just even if I didn't take the role and there was the chance that he wouldn't show up, I mean, you know, the fact of the matter that he could show up, you know, I should just do it anyway and take the risk. And he says, well, no, I mean, the producers, Michael Bell and the director, Andrew Bergman, I mean, they've been getting pictures of him, or they sent pictures of Marlon Brando with their arms around them to Matthew in Tahiti, to prove that they had a relationship with him, that he had accepted the role. And so they were saying, look, there's pictures of us with Marlon Brando in Tahiti. We've been there. We shook hands. He's going to do the movie. And because I think Matthew had the same fear, because he hadn't worked in so long and he's sort of been reclusive. And so we thought he'd retired. So anyway, so Matthew assured me that he said, look, you know, they guarantee me he's coming, and he says he's coming. So of course he was like an hour late or something to the first day of rehearsal, and we were thinking, but he's in town. And apparently Bruno Kirby had told this really funny story where he, just to make sure that he had arrived, we were in Toronto, that he sat like one of those detectives do in the lobby holding a newspaper to hide himself. Just to see him walk through the lobby door, you know, to peering through and waiting just to make sure that he saw him coming through and just to see him. But But he was so great. He came in, and we were all at this point just almost giddy, you know, because you don't know what to expect. And he came in this velour jumpsuit, and he came like crawling on his hands. I'm so sorry, I'm late. I'm so sorry. And then he gave us all these big bear hugs, and we ended up having this great relationship with him. But he would teach me things like, you know, if you forget your lines, Penelope, you start choking. Then you ask for a glass of water. And while they're getting the glass of water, you ask the guy next to you what your line is. So you ask your co-star what
So you
your
never
line
get
is.
blamed for blowing your line?
Right. So he says, nobody will ever know. Just tell them to go get the water. They're getting you water. You're choking. And then he said, the other thing he said to me was, oh, if you really wanted them to print it, if you want them to use a certain take, he says, just be really bad on all the other takes. And I thought, well, only Marlon Brando can get away with that.
Right.
Like me, you know.
You can still see Penelope Ann Miller with Al Pacino in Carlito's Way, for which she's been nominated for a Golden Globe. And then sometime this summer, around the 4th of July, The Shadow with Alec Baldwin.
Right, right.
Thanks a lot. Very nice to see you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
It was a pleasure. Thank
We're
you.
out of here. See you later.